Welcome back, and today, as we earlier said, we're going to be talking about the effect of the international partnerships and their impact, direct impact on development of educational process under the Vision 20, or according to the Vision of 2030. We're very delighted to be having with us here live in the studio Dr. Jihan Zahran, and she's an educational and innovation consultant. Good morning, Dr. Zahran.
Good morning.
Let us first talk about the idea of the 2030 Arise and who launched it.
Okay, it's actually it's launched in 2016. All right, in April specifically, and that's the vision according to the global vision of sustainable development strategy all over the world. So, but we started that in 2016, and President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and actually also Mohammed King Salman, and also they are having like the discussion in that time, and they are, we can say that, the leaders in that Vision 2030 in Arab countries specifically. And later on this joined Kuwait and all the Arab countries and the Gulf specifically related to that vision. So each country has its own vision according to what they're going to do to develop their countries according to the global sustainable development strategy. Well, let's talk about the main pillar for the Vision 2030. Actually, there are three main pillars in that. The social dimension, the economic dimension, and what we call it the economic dimension. So this dimension of the social and the humans and the economic, the three dimensions, that it have a subtopic under that according to what will happen or the fields that's supposed to be developed in that vision accordingly. Related to what's going on, of course, we have seen a lot of development nowadays related to that strategy, especially that we have the vision of 2030. By 2030, Egypt vision should have among top 3 countries in the terms of 5 things, 5 goals that we call it. Quality of life, okay, the size of economy, and human development, anti-corruption, markets, competitiveness.
These are very important elements.
Yes, this is the 5, what we call the 5 goals. It should be by 2030, Egypt should be among the top 3 countries in these 5 goals.
What exact steps have you been taking to achieve those 5 main goals?
There is a lot of strategic plans in the coding that it's already done, and we are in a process in that. Let's talk about education, because you specified in education, and that's also my field. I can talk about it. And education, this we call it under so many, like topics and fields. But mainly we can make it under the social dimension, okay? But education in all the fields, mainly. But let's talk about education under the social development. Let's say what we can do and to develop the education strategic plan for that. We have, of course, the KPIs, the key performance indicators, okay? So how we can do that? We have indicators to know exactly that we are going on the right track or not, right? For example, how we can go to the global standards criteria without being a standardized global standards in education.
Exactly.
All right? So we have KPIs for accreditation, the global accreditation, whatever that global accreditation is, and we can talk about it so many fields under, like the British accreditation, the US accreditation, any global accreditation that relate to the education itself. And we have the standard of development of the educators, the teachers, the one who will teach that we have also standardized. We have to be sure that they are on the standard. So this is a KPIs. Of course, there is a lot of KPIs that we can talk about it, but let's talk about these main 2 things, just to be focused and just to be clear in our audience to know exactly 2 or 3 things, which is a little bit detailed. In education, as you know, we have the pre-university education, and we have the technical education and the higher education. Okay, so all of this has certain KPIs. But generally, we cannot do that without a global partnerships. When we do accreditation, when we say accreditation, so it means a global standard of education in any field, all right? In the standard of students, in the curricula itself, in the teaching, in the teachers, and anyone who will just learning or getting final research, R&D, the research and development, all of this we have standardized. So we cannot do that without partnerships, without doing protocols with the standards that we are doing in global. We have to be on the same standard, all right? And we don't have time, actually.
Of course.
2030 is very near. Now,
That's true. But the protocols and the partnerships you are seeking and opting to acquire the benefits from, what exact protocols do you sign, and what exact service or benefits do these protocols present to you?
all right. So first of all, we are looking for the global standard quality of education, all right, and professional-wise. It's well known already. Something it's well known in the whole. This when you go to the ranking, and when you go just to rank in higher education or pre-universities education, you will know who is the top of the ranking. And when we know that ranking, they didn't get the ranking for nothing. They get the rank because they did researches, they did targets, they did so many achievements in their fields, and that's why they are in the rank, in the top rank of education. So we are looking first who is the thing that will be available and compatible and integrated to us, all right? And it's already well known. We have so many protocols and partnerships in pre-university education and higher educations as well, and technical education also, like Germany and blah, blah, blah. So we know exactly where we can communicate with. Let's talk about the second step. How we can get from that partnerships or from that protocols. We will get the standards. We will integrate our standards here in Egypt to be applicable and cope with the standards globally. Because if any partnerships will come to you, why they will come to you? They will tell you we need 1, 2, 3, 4 before I get partnership with you, right?
True.
So, and we have to achieve that standard. We have to do this to get the partnership. When we do this, we are developing ourselves, okay? We are having the same standard of educators, the same standard of curricula, the same standard of infrastructure, the same standard of technology. So we have to cope and we have to achieve the requirement that will come from us. So when we achieve that, we are going to the level of the achievement and getting the vision of what we need.
Exactly, but can I get in here and tell you that Egypt in the 60s and the 70s, it had standards.
Yeah.
And the quality of education was, the ranking in particular was so high compared to the good rankings worldwide, to the extent, and the proof on that is that other countries came over to acquire their degrees from the colleges in Egypt and even schools.
Yep.
So the problem of ranking and quality of education was already there in Egypt. And that's why people like Taha Hussein, people like Dr. Magdi Yaoub and other scientists, prominent scientists, came from Egyptian schools, Egyptian public schools,
yes, I understand.
and public universities. What happened to schools in the new millennium?
That's a very deep question.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What exactly happened to education and to schools?
Do you know, I will answer you in another way, and I will tell you, so why the states and European countries, they are a very high level. In the time of, before that, we were better than them, right? Because they care about public education.
Exactly.
And they never get chance to any business school enter without certain criteria. And I cannot let anyone who open any school without the criteria of my criteria as in a public school, because I'm the best. Okay, so I have to be the best all the time. I cannot just give up for my goals just for making business schools, and I don't know exactly what's going on inside it. In the States, for example, it's very hard to open a business and a private school. It's very hard because you have to go in a lot of regulations, a lot of things, just to be sure that you are doing the same thing that I'm doing at the governmental. And that's the same thing in European countries, by the way. So they are very committed and very tough in doing their standards, and never give up on that. I never let this to do in my education. And that's what happened, actually. We have so many private schools, and we don't know exactly what's going on inside it. And we have a lot of students, all right, and
paying a lot of money with no quality education. And can I add more on this? If we take examples on the best ranking educational experiences, we can mention Finland, and we can mention Malaysia. These are not, this is not the United States or England, but they're even much more qualified in when it comes to education. Germany, of course, but I mean, and they have very simple, Japan, and they have very, very simple curriculums, very simple programs, local education, public one that doesn't cost you a penny.
At all.
And it's ranking A plus and more than A plus.
Exactly. So they are doing two things, actually.
And they're not exporting, they're not importing expertise.
At all.
They're working on their own. And this is what we used to do in the 60s. We never imported expertise.
Yes,
and we never signed protocols. And we never were looking for any type of a partnership, because we were taking the lead. So what is exactly the problem?
In my like personal experience about that, first of all, in the elementary school, I was in a public school, all right, and later on I just went to the States. And I saw that in Singapore and Finland as well. My research was about that enrollment and education in all over the countries. So I visited Finland and Singapore. They have two main things.
Please talk to us about this experience.
Yeah, they have two main things that is really very interesting just to know that. First of all, they have integration in education. What means integration? So the students will go like 4 hours only for a day, and maybe less in some countries, but it's 2 sessions, only 2 sessions. But these 2 sessions integrating with all subjects in one subject. Like for example, you have art today. This art, for Van Gogh, for example, and he will give you a bio for him, a history for that man. So I studied history, all right. Later on, let us see how this work integrated with all over the world. So we do research. Okay, I did research. I made calculation for how many people in that field have success story like Van Gogh. So this is math. And then we go after that, we will write something about your experience in the drawing. Do you like the colors? So we get written essay, so that's English. After that, we came to art. Look at the van, and we can just copy for what's things that he made it, and we try to copy what we are doing in the drawing, and that's art. So we made 5 subjects in one subject, all right? And the students have really interested for everything that he's studying, and he doesn't know exactly that this is math, this is social, this is English, and that's history, and that's art.
Without putting them under a lot of pressure.
This is integration. We have this, by the way, in the curricula here, in the international curricula, we have this. We have math and science, social and science, history and English. We will find this if the teacher go in the research and go in the curricula itself, they will find by themselves that this is in the sheets. This is the activity sheet given to the students, but nobody is looking for that. Okay, we're just committed to answer questions, specific questions. This is what we need in the exam because they want to succeed. And we have also curricula here which is not related to the future of the students himself. So you will find the pre-education, the pre-university education, students, they don't know the skills. I will let you complete what the next part that you're doing abroad in education. The next step is loyalty. All right, so loyalty to the place, to the country, to my school, to everything.
Because they love it.
They love it. Why they love it?
Because
I'm teaching you how to love
genuine.
your country. I'm teaching you how to love your country. When you're a kid, I teach you how to communicate. I teach you how to clean your pot, how to do a teamwork with your friend, how to love your school, how to love your country, how to communicate when you're abroad. All of this in the first 4 years in the elementary school. They will never ask students for assessment, for exams, for all of these things. It's just activities. And from grade 5, okay, come on, let's come with the marks. So they have time. They give you time to get loyalty to the place, to the country, to the school, to the teachers, to your friends, to your family, to everyone around you in the environment, and then I will love it, so I will give it.
And there is also content, not something that is superficial from the outside and shallow.
Listen,
and there is no content from the inside.
Content is the easiest thing. Okay, curricula is here, paper is here, but how you deliver it, this is the question.
And can I ask you another question, which is, depending on their local and their native teachers, and not importing teachers from abroad, that a teacher who might not even have the academia, just because she is a foreigner, and she might even not speak good English, when you can have an Egyptian who have studied linguistics and he could speak proper English, but just because he is not a foreigner. These are ideas that are new to us, which have taken education down the drain. I think we should go back to our roots and work on the inside of ourselves, and try to bring the good old history that made us on the first rankings in education.
The soft analysis system. This, we have to do that. We have to develop the people that we have. And that's why the vision is really, when you just read it, you will know exactly how it is really integrated for what we are saying right that. The quality of life, the social, like dimension. We have to develop the people like before, to give them the chance to be able to know, to give. And that's really very important. That's developing the human element. The human elements and the human developments. This is very important just to go in education, because education is our life. We cannot just work and develop ourselves without education.
Can I ask you another question? Education without culture or awareness, could you consider that education? Good education.
Education, this is the pillar of it. So I cannot take it off.
It's one of the foundations.
Of course. When I teach you something, I will look at your culture, all right? I will go deeply on the environment to teach you what's going on. In any education field, in the curricula, we will make it like customization for what you have and what you can give. I cannot give education for example, in some countries, just Nigeria, for example, in Africa, and they give them something that's really very high advanced and they don't have it. I have to give them the basics, okay, they can deal with. And then I'll check exactly what you have as resources and give you more and more to be able to develop it. And one main thing that really need to be integrated, and again, I need to focus on the word integration. And integration and the teamwork between ministers, between all the fields together. So the economy minister has to sit with the educational minister and sit together and look at the plan and the vision. Everybody should be in one
engaged in this process.
Of course, because I'm doing this for the whole benefit, all right? So I have to deal with you. You are in different field, but we have a certain kind of integration between you and me to get delivered to the right things after that. So integration, and teamwork, this is what we're missing in our culture.
Exactly. Talking about the vision of 2030, of course, and the directives of President Abdel Fattah Sisi to be able to upgrade the educational process and boost and empower this file have been great. He didn't
amazing.
spare an effort
It's
to be
really
able to
amazing.
empower it. But again, he was focusing over setting good foundation of awareness, reforming religious discourse, which is not, which is part and parcel of the educational process, working on the cultural background and forming a cultural background for a student of music and art and taste and poetry and everything. It might not be related to grades, but it has to be with his culture or her culture, so that when they speak or they talk, they could make sense.
We have common
This is
language in
education.
all over the world, by the way. We have common language. When I, regardless what my culture behind me, when I go to any country and I talk about basics, so I'm talking about common language. We have basics together, and that's why it's easy to make a global sustainable development strategy. It's easy for that because we are leaders in that, right? We are not getting from the start. We are not starting from the scratch. We have basics. We have a lot of people who really can do this.
We have a legacy also to pass it to other generations.
Definitely.
On that very optimistic note, I'm very happy to hear that from you. Dr. Jihan Zahran, will have to end it here. We have run out of time on a promise that you can come again and visit us on the Breakfast Show. You are an education and innovation expert. I'd like to thank you so much.
Thank
you have
you.
a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thanks
coming.
a lot.
And I guess that would bring us to the end of this segment. We're going to go to a short break and come to continue the Breakfast Show, so stay with us.